Hi, my name's Rebecca Robertson and I'm a financial planner, non-investment. I'm a busy mum and I have my own company called Evolution for Women. Evolution for Women are female advisors who specialise in working with young families and to ensure that they're protecting their family's future. We have a programme called A Prosperous Parent. These involve 5 key steps which ensure that you're protecting your family's future and that you're in control of your money. To find out what these 5 key steps are, you can do so completely free by downloading our video. As part of our Prosperous Parent programme, the 5 key steps. The first 4 steps involve trusts, probate, guardianship and wills.
Hi Rebecca, I've got children, so how can I be sure that they're taken care of?
You can write a will and ensure that you have guardianship written within that will, and you can also ensure that your life policies are written into trust.
What does the guardianship do for the children?
The guardianship for children ensures that they will be taken care of by that particular guardian. If you don't write a will and don't set up the guardianship, it will mean that the court will make that decision for you. So it's very important as parents that you get that choice.
So can you tell me what is a trust?
Okay, so a trust is a way of document, it's a way of holding an asset. So it might be a piece of land, it might be a house, it might be some particular funds. That trust has a beneficiary and it has a trustee. The beneficiary obviously receives the funds and the trustee is somebody that manages and looks after that trust.
What would this do for a family though?
By ensuring that an asset is in trust, for example a life policy, it means that the income can go straight to, or the lump sum can go straight to that beneficiary. So in the example of a mortgage needing being paid, or for example lifestyle needing being paid, instead of being waiting for probate to finalise the process of your estate, the trust will pay it straight out to the beneficiary.
How do I go about, if I want to write a will, how do I go about it? What ways can I do it?
Okay, you can go online. There are services online that you can do it yourself. You can also go to WH Smith's. However, if there's one thing that's wrong with that will, it can be straight away invalid, therefore it's not deemed for purpose at all. You can go to a will writer and you can also potentially go to a solicitor, both of which are qualified to do that will for you. The only thing you need to bear in mind is the fees and charges. They all charge differently and there's no strict regulation around it. So if they charge for a will, it's worthwhile asking what they also charge for storage, for witnessing, etc.
Most people have heard about probate, but I haven't. So what is a probate and why is it important to us?
Probate is something that we all go through, but we're not here. We're not actually living. So it's a process that our estate goes through after we've died. This probate is really a way that your affairs are processed and the Inland Revenue then take any tax that's to be paid.
That sounds like a very difficult process. What can be done to help the family in that process?
By writing a will, you can speed up the probate process, because by having the executor, you do not need to write for letters of administration to the probate. So it speeds up the process. By also writing a will, you're also putting down your wishes of how you want your estate to be dealt with. This is a great help to your family members because they feel like it's a way of helping them with their grief. So the first 4 key steps are putting a life policy into trust and writing a will and ensuring guardianship is included. The final step is budgeting, but this doesn't just involve having a spreadsheet and looking at your finances and where your money's going each month. It's much more than that. Okay, so changing habits. Everybody with their money has a particular mental attitude towards their money. They're either very astute with it and very in control, or like the most of us, we go about our day and don't really quite think about our money. So one of the things that a lot of my clients do, and they found very helpful, is actually analysing what type of spender they are. So you're either somebody who is completely lost control, you are a shoe buyer, you really don't think about what you're buying or when you're buying it, and you get to the end of the month and you really don't know where the money has gone or what's happened to it or where you are within a month. The second kind might be that you've got a lack of income, and that might be just down to the fact that you've got a difficult time, but really you can't make it balance, there's just too much going out compared to what's coming in. Then you have somebody that is quite financially astute, and they know roughly where their money's going each month, but they really do still get to the end of the month and just don't know where the money's been spent. And then you have somebody that's, again, quite in control and happy with their spending, but they get to an end of a year potentially and just don't realise where that money's gone that year. They haven't achieved maybe the holiday that they wanted or the new car that they needed. So it's all about goal setting too. So the next step within changing your habits is just looking at where your spending is. So your goals that you have in life must meet your spending. An example of that is, for example, let's say you want a Ferrari, but all you're doing with your money each week is drinking, takeaways, nights out, meals out, and that's not really going anywhere towards your Ferrari. That's quite a sort of difficult place to put yourself in, because it's quite in a situation where you're never really achieving where you want to be. So it's worthwhile looking at what your short-term, your medium and your long-term goals are. A short-term goal would be to have some minimum savings in place. It might be to have a night out or a weekend away, or it might be just having a sort of a bit of an emergency fund. The second is medium savings or medium goals, and that is something that might be a holiday for next year. Or you might have a long-term goal, which is a change of a career, or it might be that you're looking to move house, for example. So it's worthwhile looking at what your actual goals are. So, where do you start? Where do you go? What do you do next? The top tip that I can give you is to try a detox. A detox month. So for the next month, you basically put yourself into a mental place where you're not spending any money. You look at your outgoings, but they are as a minimum, so what your household budgets are, what the minimum is that's going to keep a roof over your head. Look at your petrol and your food. Again, you need to have a life, you need to get to work, you need to get the kids to school. So it's just what the minimum, bare minimum essentials are. Add that all up and you have a figure. The difference with your income to that figure gets hidden somewhere, either in an account, or you chop up a bank card, or you put it into a pot and hide it under the mattress. It doesn't exist. Throughout that month, you mustn't touch that money as much as you possibly can. We then look at what you've got as cash money. So the cash money that you would have for petrol or for example, your food shopping. You'd put those either into a jar or an envelope, and you'd put them there on a weekly basis. You'd have 4 jars for petrol and 4 jars for Sainsbury's or your shopping. That would mean that each time you go shopping, you just have that amount of money to spend and you can't go over it. What you would do throughout the month is you would write down in a diary what your wishes are. So if you wanted to buy a new pair of shoes, or there was something you needed quite importantly, but you could just about get away with it, not buying it, then write it in a diary what it was and how much it was. When you get to the end of that month, you'll look back on that diary and you'll have 2 types of purchases. The essentials that you actually do now need to go and buy, and you'll have the things that actually you can do without. It was something that you wanted, you didn't need it. When it comes to the spare money that you've hidden and you've hidden away, that will be a particular figure. Let's say it's £400. Your list of diary notes adds up to £400, so you can quite quickly and easily see where your money is going and why you've got nothing left. If you take the figure of the things that you actually needed, not wanted, and that was, say, £200 from your diary list, then you can see that actually you've got £200 spare. And that might be, well, you say to yourself, I don't need that new pair of shoes, that can go towards my medium or my long-term goal. So you've gone for a month where you've really sort of tightened the hatches in, And it's now about planning and looking at how you can move forward and put an action plan forward. So the next step is to put a plan of action in place for the next 2 months. The reason it's 2 months is because the saying goes it takes 7 weeks to create a new habit. So if you only do it for a few weeks, it's not really going to sort of formalise into a long-term habit. So for the next 2 months, you're now going to look at a revised budget planner. So the detox budget planner was probably, quite painful, or it should have been. So this next 2 months is going to be a little bit more comfortable. You need to take into account any birthdays, any weddings, any emergencies that might come up. And you would look at what actually, what can you afford? What's a comfortable amount? Was £60 too much for your food shopping, or do you need to spend a little bit more? So for those 2 months, you would put that action into place, and you would just follow that programme as best as you can. So now you're at the end of 3 months. You've had a detox month. You've had 2 months where you've been running a sort of quite a sort of secure and controlled budget. How can you move forward? Well, really, you'll know the answer to that. By then, you will assess what your long-term goals are, your medium goals. You've wrote them down, or put a mood board together, or put an action plan together. You'll be able to see what you have got to spare each month and what you're willing to go without. And then you can start planning exactly what you're going to put aside. It's very important when I'm speaking to clients, they quite often want to do 2 or 3 things, and you should never put all your eggs in one basket. So for example, if you want to overpay on your mortgage but you have little emergency funds, then the emergency fund should come first. And it should be a case that you do treat yourself and you do allow yourself to have those things that are there to, life's for living. I hope you've enjoyed that little session of information. I'm Rebecca Robertson and I'm a financial planner non-investment for Evolution for Women. Do keep tuned in and see what else we can help you with in the future.